What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the House of Holocrons podcast, episode 50. This has been a wild, crazy ride. We're just now getting news from today. That's right, November 9th. We will be recording this and then putting it up for Friday. But today at 12 a.m., SAG and AFTRA, the Association for Writers and Screen Actors and Screenwriters, well, pretty much it came to a deal and things have been opened up. And the floodgates have been reopened, and the horrible opinions from very horrific people who only want to spread really mean opinions can now be doused out with actual fans who can talk about stuff. We're going to talk about Ahsoka today, and I'm excited about that. I know Mike's excited about that. Everyone's excited to talk about Ahsoka. So first, in just a non-spoilery, just a first view of the Ahsoka series, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant. It is to date my favorite Star Wars production that has been made. Mainly the way it deals with the Force. It deals with like some Jedi lore and some new lore stuff. All of that was just so amazing. And I'm always down for more lore. I could see it's going to probably get overtaken by Acolyte in my eyes. Just because, of me being a Darkseid fanboy. But it was a very stellar show. Mike, what was your general thought on it?
Yeah, I still on the Andor train that I like Andor a bit better, but as like an overall best Star Wars show, at least live action wise, it's a good show. It's like if you want the most Star Wars show that they've shown on Disney so far, that would be it. It is very the only prerequisite is you kind of need to be familiar with the Clone Wars or Rebels. Probably more familiar with Rebels. And assuming most people are at this point are familiar with Ahsoka. So if you're late on that Ahsoka train, you may be a little confused, but more confused yet is Rebels.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you are
definitely take out Clone Wars and Rebels, it'll help.
If you are familiar with Rebels, you will like the show a lot more. But it's got everything you want. It's got the awesome history, the also awesome exotic location, the Star Wars, got Jedi, the Force, got the cool villains.
Yep.
It's got everything all mixed into it, and it's even got some nostalgia and kind of thrown in there, but not overbearing like we've seen, like with the Boba Fett show, where the nostalgia is just too much. And this show literally wrote on nostalgia, but this one, it was in there when it was appropriate. So yeah, it was. I feel like, yeah, it's the best. If you were to say like, I want to show somebody that really likes Star Wars that haven't watched it in a while, I'd show them that. Though,
yeah, that's a very good one.
Maybe with a little prerequisite of Rebels if they haven't watched it.
I mean, if nothing else, they're going to have a lot of questions. If you have not seen Rebels or Clone Wars, you are going to have a lot of questions by the end of Ahsoka.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of skimmed over Rebels because they thought it wasn't just kind of like for children or low quality, but no. Rebels, it's a Clone Wars 6 a little bit to get used to, just like Rebels.
Yeah.
The beginning part might get annoying to you. You highly recommend Rebels if you haven't watched it yet.
Yes, same here. So, all right, guys, that's it for not spoiler though. We're gonna start diving in deep. I will say first off, when we're getting into the opening parts of the Ahsoka series, we kind of got teased about Ahsoka training Sabine. I don't know why even bother, honestly, though. From the training stuff we see in the beginning, she's really is she not that force powerful because she's never been trained, or is she just being trained because she's kind of force powerful and they need whatever they can get?
Yeah, it's. I don't want to jump on this immediately. I won't get in depth with it. But the character I was least pleased with was Sabine, which in contrast, Sabine was one of my favorite characters from Rebels.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it felt like they only watched the last season for Sabine, and the only reason she originally was training with the lightsaber originally was to wield the dark saber, just because it had that Mandalorian tradition. Other than that, she didn't really have any connection to Jedi, um, and so it just felt forced. And it felt like it pulled away from what made us Sabine a Sabine. Um, that's what kind of also felt like it pulled from the show.
Yeah.
That they were.
Yeah, that first episode was also like that. First episode takes place before everything, right? Like it's like almost like right at the end of Rebels, and then it's a few years jump. Like when she cuts her hair and looks at the mural.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little bit further because it seemed like they were in peacetime, and that's what made her bored.
True.
Because it was. I think it's post Empire.
Okay.
Because it says she seemed really bored. She hasn't done any rebellious things in a while. And that also, like I said, I don't know if you want to talk on Sabine all right now, but yeah, just.
You're not going to go too deep. It's just sadly, it's like the first bit of it is just her relationship with Ahsoka, because it's a tumultuous one. In the first few episodes, they don't get along. Like, you can tell there's a lot of beef between Ahsoka and Sabine.
Well, if you look at the characters, too, if we go back, Ahsoka was, kind of the more trying to get a good word for it. She was very vocal. She was very rebellious in a way.
Yeah.
And then Sabine, she was rebellious in her own way, but hers was more action-less vocal as Ahsoka was. Though I feel like Ahsoka had to age quicker than Sabine did. Sabine had her own issues that, leading up to with her family, joining the Empire and stuff like that. So yeah, they're very different, but in their own way, because of their personalities, they're bound to clash.
Yeah.
So to have them clash, to me, is very realistic, because just they're very antagonistic personalities, which is awesome when you're leading a rebellion, but when you need to work together, can be problematic.
Right.
That's what makes the story a story.
Right, but I enjoyed the fact that they were a bit problematic. They had that beef between them, and that also led to probably one of the most hilarious, again, droids, bringing in some of the most hilarious, like, side characters ever. Hugh Yang was sassy, and I loved every moment he was on screen. I can definitely say Hugh Yang was an awesome addition to the Ahsoka series.
He was the parent of the show.
Yeah. Yeah, for those who are not familiar exactly with Hugh Yang's backstory, Hugh Yang has been with the Jedi since the beginning. Yeah. And I'm not kidding. Literally, like in this book, the Timelines book, you can turn to the early history. And
they literally programmed
there's the start. There's Hugh Yang.
To help run the Jedi Order, specifically in lightsaber training, lightsaber building. As well.
Which, that's cool to know that he was created that long ago, and they still had lightsabers.
And also, it's insane that if you think about how important he is to the Jedi Order, because when the Jedi Order fell, it's crazy that Anakin or Sidious didn't track him down.
Right.
Because the knowledge he contains is literally the whole Jedi Order.
Yeah, Sidious would have had a field day ripping apart his databanks.
Because he kept memory since day one. I mean, I'm sure by now it's corrupted. It's that kind of weird thing that he can keep this knowledge and other droids can't.
Yeah.
I guess the whole mystical Jedi thing keeps him that way. Yeah, he knows. He
like
can associate every Jedi with every lightsaber design. And he knows a lot of the Jedi's fighting styles as well. Even just if he didn't know more things about the Jedi, each Jedi, just knowing what lightsaber they have is pretty strong enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just knows way too much. It's crazy how he was able to still not get caught by the Empire.
Yeah, and it was fun. We got to see him even training, like literally training Ahsoka, or not Ahsoka, but Sabine, with like that little like the formation. He would like put his. It was cool though because it shows how he taught younglings and how they learned the forms of lightsaber combat was just through, rigorous discipline, muscle memory.
Yeah, it is. If you think about it, it's nice to have that
Mm-hmm.
because you kind of wonder in this post, you know, post
Post
destruction
academy,
of the
yeah.
post the Return of the Jedi era. Luke and Ahsoka, which are probably the two most trained Jedi in this period, um, they're on their kind of ways, kind of
Mm-hmm.
distant from everyone, and they don't really want to teach anyone at this point in time. And Luke is kind of getting that way where he starts wanting to be a teacher.
Yeah.
But even then, both of them didn't have. Well, Luke himself didn't have the extensive training to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
He's got probably enough training to be a knight, to be an
Yeah.
early knight. Whereas Ahsoka has a bit more training, but hers more wartime.
I'm very surprised that Hugh Yang wasn't with Luke, but I'm happy he wasn't, of course.
Yeah.
But I would feel like if season 2 happens, I would imagine there has to be some conversation about that.
It gives that plot point where if they do start in the Jedi Order, that Hugh Yang would answer that question.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, Ahsoka is well trained, she has a lot of experience, but wartime experience. And
right, exactly.
Anakin training, which isn't probably the best training for if they get new younglings or academy of brand new.
Yeah, because when you watch her train Sabine, she's doing the same thing. She's just pacing around her, telling her to fight and train and, use her saber.
Because that's
what she knows.
Yeah, her training.
She knows more than that. She knows that violence isn't the answer, but she also knows, I'm training you to be a warrior. I don't train. This lineage of Jedi does not train people to be counselors, to be, sages. We train you to be like a defender, like a fighter.
And that can't work with everyone because you'll start getting more of these, inevitably what happens with certain tutelage that ends up destroying the new. If you go further on later, more dark side users.
But it works out too because again, that's the perfect mix then. Because a Mandalorian who hasn't been trained and does have attachments to be trained to be a Jedi, who else is going to be a better person to train her than the lineage of the Skywalkers?
Yeah, I mean, he talked to somebody who's living a warrior culture, and she's not as
technically. It's like Dooku's lineage.
Yeah, it's not as combative as
Yoda's lineage. Sorry, I keep forgetting who's trained who.
Yeah, but we've looking at like if you want to train a Mandalorian to be a Jedi, you probably do want more of the warrior-based Jedi to train them.
Exactly.
I don't see even the more passive Mandalorians. I don't see them wanting to sit through sage training.
Yeah, there's a big part of that Rise of the Red Blade and stuff like that. Yeah, Jedi who are more fighters, they just don't do good in sitting there listening to water hit the ground. Like that's just not their thing. They're meant to go out there and change the world and stop bad people from doing bad things.
Well, some of those sages too, they talk about how the Force will just take care of everything.
Yeah,
and they just let things go, which is probably the smarter way of doing it. But when you get more things like Sabine, they can't.
Yeah, they just can't do that.
She's not wired that way.
Yep, get it done. Get it done now. And then kind of moving forward, we have Morgan Elsbeth, and then the introduction of the villains, Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, who are amazing. Really
I can't wait to
characters.
see more of her. Sadly, we won't get to see him.
Maybe if they do recast him, I hope it's like I don't want to ruin the memory of his character, but I also would hate for it to die here because it had so much potential.
I definitely don't ruin it because when we've seen it done properly, like with the Harry Potter series, I can't think of any recastings off my head.
There's not that many that do it.
That's a big one.
Yeah,
like when they did that Harry Potter in the first movie was a different actor, and it did well. We didn't forget who he was, and they carried on the memory of the character.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a great way. I mean, he's an awesome character.
Yes,
he's an awesome villain that just left too many things open at the end.
Oh, and once we get to the end, that part of the conversation is nuts on its own.
it's he had an awesome entrance where
Mhm.
it was reminiscent of Darth Vader in Episode 4.
Yes. Yeah, him and
And he's
Shin
just
Hati just, and I mean
yeah
Shin Hati, they just took that ship down. They just
yeah
decimated that crew.
he has a awesome look.
Hmm.
Honestly, it does not look Clone Wars to me. It looks way earlier than that.
Yeah, he does have.
Um,
He was always he has that Arthurian knight vibe to him. He's
yeah,
very
he to
wrinkled.
me looks like he found armor from the New Republic, or not new, the High Republic era,
Hmm.
and just like it was like old and crusty, and he just put it on, and it just looked that cool.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, his design's awesome. His character is awesome. He definitely makes a great villain
and I would
for
say they're
this
definitely
series.
and they're definitely dark Jedi. I wouldn't call them. They're
Yeah,
definitely not Sith. They are aggressive Jedi, so that are just leaned more into the okay side of killing innocent.
and this is what I personally been wanting for a character for a long time.
Hmm.
Other than the same old,
Hmm.
to get a villain that's like, and then when you get into the series and he talks about how what was necessary, what things happened, you kind of wonder is like he doesn't feel like a full bad guy, even
Yeah,
though he's not doing the right thing.
right.
So it's like you almost kind of want to root for him, like, yeah, he may not be going the right way of doing things, but he is trying to fix things, just not the right way.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, he's yeah, both of them are awesome. Even she, I feel
She's a
like, and I
hothead.
feel like
She is very much the opposite to him, or you could tell he is taking her under her wing for
yeah,
a reason, and it has a lot to teach her still. Yeah, whereas he is collective and
yeah.
calculating, she is brash and
Well, they
a fire.
they almost mirror each other
Hmm.
with the relationship with Ahsoka and Sabine. How even they both aren't very teaching their apprentices very well. Though
Yeah,
he taught his apprentice a lot more just because they had more time together. Um,
very true.
but you could see when they're dynamic. He just kind of lets her do whatever she wants.
And she
He
uses that.
occasionally,
Yeah, I mean the way she like when her and Sabine face off a few times, especially early on, she bats Sabine around like nothing. And of course, I know a lot of people were
yeah,
pissed off because they do fight, and Shin Hati impales Sabine, but like it was very obviously to the side. She didn't like stick it directly in her epicenter and like stab her through the chest or anything. It was in the gut. It was to the side. So I know a lot of people were like, "Oh,
yeah.
another Qui-Gon moment." Nah, I didn't have the problem with that. I thought that was fine.
I think they could have avoided that with
Hmm.
cutting her just a little bit, or
Yeah,
like a good good nick to the arm or something. But that would have taken that out. But it is what it is.
and
But
really,
yeah,
a
I
nick to
like
the arm doesn't finish the fight.
I like how they did her. She definitely feels like a dark side apprentice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I like that we definitely feel like she's going to be growing into her role. I
Hmm.
hope they continue that.
Yes.
I don't expect her to be the awesome badass
Mm.
Sith. I want to see her make mistakes. I
Right.
want to
I
see
can agree with
her
that.
make dumb decisions. Um, that's what makes the same thing with the other characters that grew into their role. They weren't like the favorite character,
Yeah.
so she's almost too good. But I mean, she has at least we see she's had experience,
Hmm.
so it
In this
makes sense.
and in this early part, Morgan Elsbeth, she's not doing too much, so it really relies more on
Yeah,
Shin and Balin.
but there's only so much she can do without hiring people because she's not
Yeah.
necessarily a fighter.
Right. Until
Until she
later.
gets pumped up.
Yeah.
Um,
And then that's one of the other
yeah,
things. So then before we get into the really big stuff, next we get like we get to see a little bit more about the New Republic. We get to see more on
yeah,
Hera. By the way, I'm all for this actress playing Hera. I think she's doing an amazing job. I think Rosario's doing a great job. The
yeah.
cast so far has been knocking it out of the park. We get to see Chopper. Again, we get to see Hera. We get to see Jason. Those are all really cool moments. Didn't expect that. And Hera has some really fun moments with the New Republic. And of course, this is why the New Republic didn't do anything and the First Order was able to grow is because of politicians like that one scabby
Yeah.
douchehead.
They really showed more of the New Republic,
Hmm.
or is basically just the Empire, but with new leadership.
There's more mouths speaking mistrusts and like lies, and yeah, it's like any big republic and big senate. There are people who are out to pretty much view the betterment of only their kind or their people or their wallet.
Yeah, mostly the wallet.
Yeah.
And some of them are talking about, the Empire could be coming back, and some of them are like, okay.
Yeah. Oh
We
no.
were still, man, we'll still be here. You won't, so sucks for you. We were here when the Empire was here. We'll be here. We're here after, and we're going to hear if they come back.
Yeah, I really am enjoying the Harris stuff. Having the Harris stuff in there, I think they did a good job of not putting in too much, so it didn't feel like everyone's dreaded Rebels season 5. But
I thought everything with her was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Chopper's awesome.
No, I feel like it's kind of weird, and it's the weird. I mentioned Star Wars thing. She's supposed to be a general in this important role, and she does not. And it makes sense for her. Mm-hmm. She does not want to play that role. She just carries the title, but she just runs off and does what she wants.
Right.
It's generals are supposed to be in offices. They're supposed to be delegating. They're high up.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be running around by themselves on a ship and doing conflicts by themselves. Not without a big force behind them.
Yeah.
Whatever. And that was my thing is how do you keep doing this by yourself? And then later we get to see my favorite X-Wing pilot join her, backing her up, because it's it's like he's watching Star Wars. It's hey.
Oh yeah, dude. Carson Teva, if he's in a scene, it's going to be important, and I think he knows that. Like you said, I think he's broken the wall.
Yeah, he's he literally when the rest of the characters, and it's just that stupid trope with Hollywood that's they're so oblivious to everything around them, and he just knows. He's yeah, this is stupid. It's of course I'm gonna yeah.
We should get moving. We're gonna get in trouble. Oh hey, look, they're the people who are here to get us in trouble.
And it sucks to see that he was going to be a main character for a show that got canceled. It would have been. It would have been
bring
great.
It back. Recast Cara Dune. Who cares? Recast it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
I don't see why we couldn't. She wasn't tied to that role.
Right. She got facial surgery, and got all messed up and had to change the way she looked for a job.
We don't even have to already have.
We have
enough time.
I know, but still, we have facial reconstruction surgery in Star Wars. Just say she changed her face and make it that one chick that everyone loves in the WWE right now, Rhea Ripley or whatever, that wrestler. Make her the new Cara Dune. There you go. I'm down. Right, but thankfully we have the Ahsoka show. The strike's over. Yeah. So now that we've had a little bit more of the New Republic, things do begin to progress.
Yeah.
We have a very large altercation between Baylan, Shin, Ahsoka, and Sabine, with Morgan Elsbeth doing some Night Sister magic. So that was Night Sister magic. She is a Night Sister. And we get lore. Man, the middle to the end of the Ahsoka series just drops some crazy heavy lore on us. Before we get too deep into the Morgan Elsbeth lore, though, we do find out that Peridia does exist, this other galaxy far, far away, outside of this galaxy, and that's where Thrawn and Ezra are. So 100% they are going to bring Thrawn back by using this giant hyperspace ring ship.
Yeah, finally the main series talks about outside the galaxy. I mean, it's always been talked about in other books. And we even get it with the High Republic and everything else, but the main series never wants to touch it. So it's great that we finally get to get outside the galaxy, even though it was very little, sadly.
Yeah, true. But we now know, and it was just one part of a map that was much bigger. Now that we've seen this map from a bigger point of view, we can kind of tell, this star map goes way beyond just this one galaxy. There might be many more. Large fight in which, of course, Ahsoka has to fight Baylan, and what we think she loses, which I thought was a great touch, that sacrifice. Sabine then just gives over the artifact, and they get the location, and everything's good. She goes with them because all Sabine cares about is getting Ezra back. So she's going to leave. She's out of there, and we get one of the coolest transitions I've ever seen in Star Wars. The waves transition into Ahsoka's body. But two, we get what is now probably the scenes that make this one of my most favorite things I've ever seen in my entire life, let alone the lore surrounding it. We get Anakin's final lesson to Ahsoka.
Yeah, they did that
Wow.
really well. I think that was like everybody's favorite thing. They did that. They did Anakin a lot better than when they did with the Obi-Wan show.
Yeah.
I'm glad they improved it. So yeah, they did that. They didn't really DH him as much in the Obi-Wan show, so it was a lot nicer for this one.
The acting was on point. Hayden brought it again. Hayden is just as good as he always was.
And there's that thought. I know some people. There was a theory that most of that was within her. That she didn't actually go to the world between worlds, which is what it kind of presumed. But mainly because there's a lot of details that were missing if you paid attention in the background. Like,
I'm fine with that. The Force can go anywhere. Who cares?
Yeah, when we've seen it in the past,
yeah,
there was like portals everywhere, and this one there wasn't any portals. It's just the bridge just kind of led to nowhere.
Well, and that's the thing is this could have the world between world is going to be different because the world between world is how an immortal activates that area. That could have just been how Force ghosts get around. We don't know.
It also could have just been how she
interprets the Force.
Interpret her being
near death.
There was something more going on there because I think she was this kind of state of near death, and she had a connection with the Force.
Yeah, and the other
strong enough with her assistance, with her connection with the daughter, and also connection with Anakin.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen how powerful Force Ghost can be, and how powerful Anakin was with the Force.
Yeah.
He's got to be a powerful Force Ghost. So
exactly.
That's not beyond him.
And it's an amazing scene. We get the hey snips. My wife cried. I was just so excited. I mean, he said it. Hey snips. We got to hear Hayden Christensen say it. And
man, the design for the Ahsoka through the ages was so good.
Yes, he then takes her through all the Clone Wars, the Siege of Mandalore, all of it, and we get to see a young Ahsoka who was played by young Gamora, the same actress. Yeah. Lovely job. It was absolutely stellar to see. We got to see live action Phase 1 and Phase 2 clones. We got to see live action Rex. I know a lot of people were mad because his van braces were on backwards.
That's the closest we'll ever get to the live action Clone Wars.
Yep, exactly.
And it's disappointing because that looks amazing. So good.
It was so good. I don't need live action Clone Wars. I know a lot of people want it. I'm fine with that. I don't need it, but that was a great touch.
I would like to see kind of the Clone Wars era-esque.
They have the outfits on and everything. To see Hayden Christensen wearing that outfit.
I always said I wanted to see it, but now that I've seen it, I want to see it. It doesn't have to be following Anakin. We could see, maybe just some Jedi, and a small battalion of clones. It'd be awesome to see them fight again in live action. But
it was really good. It was really, really good.
That'd be very expensive to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure. But we got to see so much of that, and Ahsoka got to relive who she was and all the lessons she was kind of taught and why.
Yeah.
And man, then did it even go crazier when her and Anakin begin to fight, because of course that's kind of how he tests everyone, and that's how the Force does it. Yeah. There's always a big fight, like the cave on Dagobah.
He didn't really finish his training with her.
Exactly, and that's what he's trying to do here, and it was a beautiful scene.
Especially since his training started not only get neglected, but the training he shouldn't have been giving when he started transitioning to the dark side.
Exactly.
So it was kind of not only finishing their training, but also kind of redoing some of the mess that he did with her. Because this is the point where he's kind of been, realized who he was.
But we get some of the most beautiful iconography in recent Star Wars ever, with Hayden Christensen flashing between him and Vader, using the red lightsaber. We get Anakin having Sith eyes as he's fighting Ahsoka, and he's trying to force her to use her aggression, and she almost does, and she reactivates her Sith eyes, which is the first time we've ever seen that in live action with Ahsoka. And Rosario Dawson, again, is doing a goddamn stellar job.
And it helps confirm that Sith eyes are a thing. So it's not just bad
Yeah, it's
allergies.
not just it's not bad allergies and it's not just bad guys. It's that moment of pure hatred and calling upon the dark side. That's just what happens. And she defeats it. And in that moment, then he's like, "All right, there's hope for you yet." It was so good. It's what all of us wanted. He said, "Hey, Snips." We got to see the Clone Wars, and it wasn't the whole episode, but it was a large portion of it. They spaced it out between other things. It felt like it was so well paced,
Yeah.
so well paced.
It felt like he was trying to purge the mistakes he got out of her.
Yes,
That he put in her when he started going the dark side.
It was everything that we needed.
She definitely needed that because when she found out who Darth Vader was,
It crushed her.
she was still, and we saw that in the show where it was starting to hit her. She was kind of going down that path.
Yeah,
She's putting on that face of this sage Jedi, but she still had a lot of conflict inside of her.
So that happens though. She's not dead. Comes back and gets in the mouth of a Purgle, and they set off to follow Sabine to go to Peridia.
So it made sense.
Yeah.
It's the only way she would be able to get to that made sense.
And I love it. I'm like, hey, whatever. But then when we get there, they drop some of the craziest fucking lore I've ever heard in my entire life. What do you mean the Dathomirian Night Witches are from this galaxy and they rode the Purgle to the other galaxy and found Dathomir? I don't hate it. What? Whoa. I did not expect the Dathomirian Night Sisters' homeworld to be the new canon and like lore drop. That was crazy.
It definitely felt like I was reading an expanded universe book because I was just imagining the witches literally riding on the backs of Purgle.
Just like a big, like a saddle with a, some cargo strapped to the side.
But it's weird because I guess not. I was like, well, most of the Purgle go there to die. They don't return, but I guess the younger ones that go with them do.
And I mean, that would make sense if the Night Sisters are being surrounded by the death of these creatures, that they would learn to harness their death, their power maybe, but like, that was nuts. I just didn't expect it. We meet 3 new Night Sisters who are apparently been waiting this whole time with Thrawn. That's like, and Thrawn's just been on this planet chilling. My wife is the one who pointed out the thing of course, like, a lot of people are like, well, why was Thrawn on that planet still? Why didn't he leave? He doesn't have any star maps. He doesn't have any hyperspace lanes.
Also, if you look at the Star Destroyer, most of the engines are blowing up when it flies in.
He can't he can't go very fast.
Only has the small stabilizers and the little orbital engines. It doesn't. The large engines.
That's why they literally brought a ring of engines to him.
It's also why it was so slow. Not only because it was on the planet, but it was missing.
Yeah, but even if he had full power, he doesn't have the ability to just hyper jump around, and it would take forever to go anywhere.
Well, before we go to Silver Throne, speaking of the Balin entrance was awesome. The Thrawn entrance was probably one of the coolest Star Wars entrances we've ever gotten.
And his troopers. Oh my gosh. Before we even get to Thrawn, the Night Troopers.
Well, I love the part where like Ahsoka's trying to break out. And she's like, did I do that? And she's like, it's like shaking and stuff. She's like, wait, that's not me. What's going on? And it pans up to the top. You just hear the epic music, and it's just this like ominous, powerful music, and then you just see it looming overhead. Yeah. And of course, you got to be a little extra by literally parking it on top of the temple, and then we get to see the whole battalion of the remnant stormtroopers.
The Night Troopers covered in like, I can't remember exactly what that is called, but it is it's a Japanese style of fixing things where they use gold to fix the cracks in pottery and things like that. But they're also covered in red, which to me symbolized the Night Sisters. I immediately thought right off the bat, these guys are already all dead. What do you think? Do you think they were all dead, or that just some of them might have been dead?
Well, I think it proves that they weren't dead at all when we see them later on when they do die and come back. I don't think these were dead yet, because we didn't see the magic when they died. I just think they just been there. Those are the ones that survived. Yeah. We get the amazing. They all look fantastic. The different shades of black and red and gold and white. On there is magic that they put on them to make it easier for them to be revived if they did die. I think that was planned. it's kind of like a backup plan if something happens to
Yeah.
them. It helps connect them to their bodies easier, maybe.
Yeah.
Or because it definitely, I thought maybe it helps with the magic to protect them. But their movements don't, because when we've seen the dead bodies and stuff, the movements don't represent that.
Yeah.
What we've seen in past Dathomirians. That was the counter. They aren't dead,
You're right.
but we do get to see dead stormtroopers or zombie troopers
Zombie
later on.
troopers. And then we get Captain Enoch. That is one of the coolest designs. I know a lot of people are already saying, when's that helmet coming out, Hasbro? Come on, let's go. Let's get that helmet.
Yeah, I hope we get to see more of him. Awesome design. It's just sad when we see these awesome like stormtrooper variants.
Yeah.
Other than the Clone Wars, we don't ever get to see anything cool from him. So hopefully, look at you, Captain Phasma.
Honestly,
not your fault.
Yeah, right. But he should stick around for a little bit because season 2 is definitely going to have to happen because without giving too much away, like it happens. Like, I mean, there's going to have to be a season 2. But before we, again, talk about too much of that, we get Thrawn's entrance. Thrawn's entrance was also stellar. It was so calm and controlled. And Lars does, I mean, it's exactly, it is Thrawn. He does exactly, the voice is there. He has the swagger. He has the persona about him. He's used to it. This is the first time
we've seen the voice actor carry over to live action. I don't think we've had that happen yet.
No, yeah, because Ashley's not. Yeah, no, that's the only voice actor who has come over.
So yeah, if you wondered why he sounds so much like Thrawn, is because he is the voice actor for Thrawn.
Yeah, that's literally Thrawn's voice actor.
And for all of us,
Lars Mikkelsen has also just been a very, very known actor for a long time.
And a lot of people were upset why he isn't shaped like what we've seen of Thrawn. One of it's live action, two of it's he's older, and three, it's the actor. He we can't force things. Not every show is gonna be like the Marvel movie where the actors go on this crazy workout regimen and they get like super ripped.
Right.
It's almost realistic that he isn't super ripped.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd be training, but still. Plus, it gives us all that want to dress up in characters an easier body shape to work with.
Right. No, Thrawn. It was amazing to see him and to hear him, and it was again beautifully done. The eyes look good. The skin tone looks good. I didn't think any of it was really off or glaringly bad.
The only thing I felt was a little off was the eyes myself, because I was expecting the kind of little glow eyes that we used to see with them, but it wasn't like bad. It just was like, man, it'd be cool if they did it, but they just probably did it. Probably was too distracting. I don't know.
Right, I could see that being too distracting to a degree. But Thrawn, Balin keeps a promise he made to Sabine when she handed over everything. You will see Ezra. Thrawn's like, yeah, here, take this warg-like hyena thing. Go out there, go find Ezra. And now I called this immediately because then he's like, all right, Balin, Shin, go follow her and kill both of them.
He definitely was thinking like Thrawn should have thought.
Yeah.
There's a couple of Rogue One. We've seen him in the Rebels episode that didn't feel like Thrawn. Because he's making quick, dumb decisions, but this one felt more like what Thrawn would do.
Yeah.
Every decision he made, it's like, why would he let that happen? Well, he knows better than anyone. They can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, with they get away. Oh, well, sorry, go away. Where are you gonna go?
Right, you're still stuck on this planet. Yeah, you're stuck on this planet. I don't care. Go find Ezra, and we'll kill both of you, hopefully.
Yeah, the witch is like, why'd you let her go? Or why aren't you chasing after him? He's like, let's just pack the ship and leave.
Who cares?
There's no reason to waste resources going after them.
And that's literally like every time he sends anyone out to deal with any of these things popping up, he literally is like, send out only 3%. That's all we need to allocate.
And he's like, keep packing this ship. We're just gonna bounce. They'll have fun sitting here. The guy did.
And lo and behold, we get a few more scenes with Sabine running around trying to be independent as shit and failing at it. And she finds Ezra looking awesome, looking like, another awesome space Jesus, wearing Lamalar. So that's now
Get
canon.
another Yoda slash Luke moment.
Yep, just being a
little
hermit.
Apparently, being a Jedi and connected to the Force just makes you get old and goofy.
Yeah, which I'm down for. As I think, and I really, this guy did an amazing job playing Ezra. It is exactly he's playful. He jokes around. It's like the Spider-Man of the Star Wars universe. If I was gonna really create that correlation, Ezra is always funny. He's always hopeful, and I really think that they did an amazing job with this Ezra. His relationship with Sabine in this, you can tell they're kind of flirty, kind of not. Like, I don't think Ezra wants to be with her, but he's still flirty with her.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think he's just kind of moved on.
Mm-hmm.
He's happy to see her, and he doesn't. It's like he doesn't. She wants to see probably a relationship, and he's like, I mean, I've been with the Force this whole time.
Yeah.
So it's like I've moved on. I found my calling.
Which is stellar because then it really proves how much he's connected to the Force. Because once the troopers and Shin and Baylan all show up, there's a huge fight. Shin gets sent out to go take on Ezra and Sabine, and Ezra's like handling a lot of these guys just with the Force. Picks up a blaster, takes out a few, stops Shin's saber with just the Force, and is repelling her with it easily. Like, he's definitely he's connected.
It's a fighting style we've only really seen in a lot of the extended universe. We haven't really seen too much in the main series of the non-lightsaber combat.
Yeah. Now, here's the other thing that just makes me think, though. So the Force was that usable in this other galaxy. So the Force obviously then permeates outside of the Star Wars galaxy. Like, it's just everywhere.
Well, the fact... isn't the Dathomir and magic kind of a...
I mean, that's something, too, yeah.
A bastardization of the Force?
The Force and the dark side.
Yeah. Well, it's still coming from the same thing, so... and then we also get the statues, which, I'm jumping to the end, but... there was there was Force users out there.
Right, exactly. So something came from there. But before we talk too much more about what statues there were, we will simply say that going back into it, Ahsoka shows up, has a hell of a fight with Baylan, who's just like, I'm not even here for you guys anymore. Dips out. He leaves Shin and everything. Like, just leaves Shin. Does not care anymore. Ahsoka then fights Shin a little bit, and I felt sad for Shin, honestly, when she looks up and sees that he's gone and she has no backup. She runs away like a dog with a tail between her legs.
I felt like when he saw the side of his goal, the whole reason he came, which we still have no clue what he came for.
Zero.
That he just dropped everything and went straight. He didn't care anymore about
he just kept
Ahsoka.
he just kept telling Shin there is unbelievable power here.
So, and that'll be jumping to the end, but he definitely has an ulterior motive. But we could see Shin, do what she thinks is best. She makes up with the
samurai
violent natives. They're.
And I'm fine with that. Like, I don't know how she's gonna survive on this planet since Thrawn does leave. By this time, Thrawn's pretty much boogied out.
Yeah.
They're kind of just stuck there. Ahsoka, Ezra, Sabine. Oh, not really though. Why? Because before everything's over, Ezra and then make it back. Ezra jumps on the ship. Sabine throws him with the Force using like her first great actual Force power. And Ezra makes it back. So Thrawn makes it back, but Ezra makes it back too. Ezra even gets to go see Hera. So like all these things are wrapping up. But now Ahsoka, Sabine, and Shin and Baylan are on Peridia still.
I think Baylan's fine with that.
Oh yeah, Baylan doesn't
wanted to be there.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the whole point of Baylan, I think him helping out her and everything was a ruse just to get to that planet. There's something he
only
there.
cared about that planet. That's from the beginning. That's all he ever talked about with Shin. Even is we are just good. This is just the means to the end. There's power in that planet.
And he's also talking about change and everything like that.
Changing
and
everything.
Fixing things.
Yeah.
So there's something he wants to use, and that's why I hope we don't get to see that storyline die.
Yeah.
So he has a way out somehow, because there's no
So
reason he would do that and just not care that everybody's leaving.
right, and to finally say it, we get to see Balin's skull, on this mountain crest in this huge ravine, staring at a mountain with a light beaming from it almost on the father of Mortis, the creature who stood for balance in the Force, a god more or less, pointing at the light with a destroyed statue of the sister who is dead. That is the Maori, the bird that follows Ahsoka around, and the sun next to it. So there's like heavy iconography right there for Balin to have a very important story.
Which the sun kind of represents the dark side in a way, and the daughter represents the light side. But it would also make sense if that's the Dathomirian homeworld, that the daughter would be destroyed.
True.
I know it's representative, but I can't not see how the
it just would have been
Night Sisters would have blown it up, because she represents the light side.
But I mean,
to me, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
but I get the iconography
crazy.
of it.
We don't, and that's why, again, like you said, we can't have Balin's story end because obviously it was something crazy happened.
Well, the Night Sisters did not build those statues. That's
right.
That does not make sense for them
to
do that. So that had to be pre-Night Sister.
I mean, are we talking Rakatans? I mean, what are we going to... I mean, they could tie in all
kinds
of crazy
stuff. Don't the Night Sisters have connections to the Rakatan?
Not that I know of. I know the Rakatans made...
No, they have connection to the old Jedi... because we have the video game... they had connection to the Night Sisters with that. Forgot what those beings are called from the new... what's that new video game?
Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah. They talk about the Night Sister connection in that.
Okay.
To those guys. So that's probably what it is.
Yeah. Which that'd be a really cool way to do it, but there's just so many open ends right now.
Yeah.
How does Sabine get back? Does Sabine do they get back? Right. Does Ahsoka get back? She has to, right? I mean,
they can't tie everything off. There needs to be opens for a movie, for another series if they want to do another series.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing is how are they going to end Thrawn? Do you think Thrawn is going to be the main villain for the Mandoverse, and Filoni's Mando movie is how they wrap that up?
Yeah. It's got to be. If you were going to do a movie villain, he would be it. Because he's a
great villain. He's a great villain inside of Star Wars.
I mean, we haven't seen a good enough villain yet. Not to dog down the characters we've had. It's just that big villain to send to make people go to the theaters.
Yeah.
Ron fits the bill.
And it would make sense for his Mandoverse movie to be centered around that because he still knows those characters very well. And it would be justice for him to end them because, I mean, he did all the Clone Wars stuff. And it helped so much with Rebels.
Disney likes movie money.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, come to theater, Star Wars fans. We got The Mandalorian, Thrawn, Ahsoka going to be in this movie. You better believe there's going to be a lot of Star Wars fans.
We have Grogu, we have Thrawn, we have the Mando, we have Ahsoka, we got Boba Fett, we got and they're gonna throw everything at this.
Well, the fact that they throw Thrawn in a movie, I think, would get a lot of even fans that haven't watched much of the live action out of the woodworks to go see that. So,
although I feel like that movie, now that streaming's out there and the way that the streaming versus existed, if you don't watch The Mandalorian and Ahsoka and all that stuff, you're really not going to know what the fuck is going on.
To be honest, I don't. It's sad. It'd be awesome to have a cool Star Wars experience. I don't really do theaters anymore. It's just
true.
Every time I've gone,
we
it's
need that.
once in a
theaters, lots of toys, lots of buckets. I want to go in there and I want to collect 2 popcorn buckets because they're cool looking.
I want to see the line of crazy Star Wars fans in
all dressed up. Yes,
like
exactly.
It used to be. Because the movie experience nowadays is kind of not very good. It's not that I don't like going to the theater. It's just I've been disappointed every time.
Yeah, it's just not as worth it anymore.
Especially since we're getting literally home theaters in our homes these days. Right. But yeah, the quality I've been going to theaters have been declining because the budget, and it's just So that would be. I could see though the budget, the income they get from this movie, if they use Thrawn, has to be quite a bit.
But so I would say not a problem I had, but again, kind of to get back to something I know you wanted to talk about, and me too, really.
Oh, before we do that, I wanna. We were talking about entrances. We kind of glossed over a fun entrance we had with at the very end that fit his character. We saw the stormtrooper just wander into the. They're all about to shoot him.
Yeah, they're all about to. Yeah, there's this last remnant stormtrooper who just wanders into a home base one of the the Republic fleet.
He had plenty of time to take that armor off on the trip.
Nah, that's not funny.
But Ezra really, that was a fun little thing they threw in there because that is so Ezra. He wore stormtrooper outfits all the time.
Yep. So he comes down, he sees Hera, takes the helmet off, and they have a very touching moment. Hera finally gets to see Jabba the Hutt. He has returned.
And Chopper acts like a dog. He just runs up.
My gosh.
A dog hasn't seen his owner in forever.
Right. Even though Chopper hates him.
Yeah.
But he loves him, but he hates him.
Didn't see him forever.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, now I finally get a chance to finish the job.
Now I can finally kill you. I'm so excited to see where season 2 is going to go. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Ahsoka and all them. But Sabine's got to do a lot of growing because she was the weakest point in this one. Not the actor, not the character. It was good, but it's just like, bro, you need to let go of some stuff. You got a lot more Jedi training. And she obviously has the Force. We've now seen her throw Ezra. She kind of bitch slapped Shin with the Force when they were fighting again the second time. But even then, Shin was like, literally told her, you have no power.
It should be. Shin has way more experience.
Yeah.
She shouldn't beat her until if we do get a season 2.
I feel like that's the thing. Sabine won't beat Shin. Sabine will redeem Shin, and that's how we know she's really made it.
I think if Sabine ever beats Shin, I think Sabine needs to fight like Sabine and not like Ahsoka.
Like a Mandalorian, not a...
We kind of see that a little bit when she starts fighting. She starts actually doing really well. She's just going back to her training. Do what works for you. You don't need to mimic how Ahsoka fights. It's good to learn to fight that way.
Yes,
but yeah, that was the other thing, and I think you were getting that way of the things that we didn't like about the show. So now that we talked about the fun entrance, yeah. So what were you saying?
Well, I would say again, Sabine to me was one of the weakest because it was just like, I feel like they could... She just forgot she was a Mandalorian because her teacher told her, I
forgot she was Sabine.
Yeah.
She did not feel like Sabine at all. I feel like I said, they watched the last couple episodes of Rebels and didn't know the character Sabine.
And again, I liked the actress. I thought the writing helped with the paced out and stuff, but it was still just very much like, she's just, again, I like the way you put that because I hadn't thought of it like that yet, but it does feel like she's very last season Sabine, and that's it. Like, there wasn't her saving her entire family. There wasn't her, she's done all this stuff, and she grew a lot in Rebels. That's why she cut her hair.
Yeah, we forgot the character growth. We forgot all the maturing. She matured very quickly, and she did a lot of growth in the Rebels, and it's like, none of that happened. And she acted like a teenager, just not listening to anybody, just doing whatever she wants. Blatantly just dumb decisions one after the other for no reason. And that didn't feel like this experienced Star Wars character that we've seen. Like, the amount of stuff that she experienced is a lot that most people don't get to experience.
Yeah.
It's like she literally had 5 years off between doing all this stuff that she just reverted back to being a child again.
Yeah.
And it seemed weird. And it seemed, like you said, she forgot she was a Mandalorian, forgot she had blasters half the time.
She's literally covered in Beskar. She should, she shouldn't be afraid that much of being hit.
Well, she also went through this whole phase where she rejected her heritage and then retook it back, and that was the whole point of the near the end of the season is retaking her heritage back.
Well, and that was kind of the point of her training with the Darksaber is because she's not supposed to be a Jedi or a Mandalorian. She's supposed to be like the Tar Vizsla, like this thing in between. She's not a Jedi. She's
And that
not
was my
just a
understanding.
Mandalorian. She is Sabine, her own thing.
She wasn't going to ever be a Jedi. And that
Yeah.
was kind of the whole thing she had to learn, that she didn't. It wasn't her way to go, and that was good, But then
But
it
it seems
felt
to have just
so
kind of gotten changed. They were just like, no, actually, Sabine's gonna be a Jedi.
forced her to become a Jedi. It felt super forced. It felt
And that makes
like
that's the
constantly
stuff
she
that
was
gets
using
me
the
worried.
Force.
So then where's Sabine? Is Sabine gonna help Rey in her new Jedi Order? Where was Sabine during the First
Well,
Order?
I loved it so much because she kept wanting to use the Force and it didn't work. Yang
Mm.
was like, "You have no talent with the Force." I was like, yes, she does it. That's the point. That's her character. Thank you, Yang, for pointing
Yeah.
it out.
Multiple
I
times.
agree with you. And then they give her the Force, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay. I feel like it's like she's such a strong character, but they
So, but
didn't.
now we have
It's like,
Cal Kestis,
yeah.
we have Ezra, we have Sabine, we have maybe Ahsoka dead or alive, probably dead by Rise of Skywalker, but we're getting more and more Jedi or Force users. Where are they?
Well, and then you start looking at Thrawn and the Empire and
Mm-hmm.
everything else. It's like they're making this grand thing. I love it. I love it. But they're starting to like say, no, the movies are starting to not make so much sense anymore.
Yeah. And that's the
Which
problem
is,
when we're in this tiny little time
yeah,
period. Let's round out the Ahsoka stuff, get rid of Thrawn,
yeah.
wrap this up like a pretty little bow, and leave it the hell alone.
Yeah, if I had a time machine, I wish I could tell Disney, hey, just hold off the movies for a couple years.
Yeah.
Because if they just did that,
And
they
did these
could have
shows
gotten
first? Oh, dude, yeah.
they could have gotten a lot more fans in these movies.
Yeah.
They could have gotten more love, and they would have had more money to
Mm-hmm.
do stuff with. But we got what we got. Yeah,
And so
yeah.
now,
Hopefully,
next up
after
is
the
going to be the
movie,
Acolyte. The Acolyte's going to be amazing. I'm stoked.
which the idea was, once this movie is done, that's kind of the end that Fargo and all
Yes.
them want to do. But I don't see Disney wanting to leave it alone. But
I
I
bet
think
he'll kill her. I'll bet he kills Ahsoka.
I think she needs to.
Yeah.
I don't. I
Sadly, I guarantee you in the big movie, Dave Filoni will kill Ahsoka Tano.
It's just, if we don't, we'll start getting those characters that they just kind of
Mhm.
live to be like. We get that kind
It's
of
almost a
with.
plot hole if she stays alive.
We can't get that a little bit with Luke. Like, it just felt like you're just bringing them around just to the character, but the character's just starting to lose its taste.
Yeah.
If they didn't give Luke that grand ending, he would have been a miserable character to be around, honestly. It's just, eventually you gotta end her story. You can't carry the character on forever.
Right. And it's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. That needs to happen with a character. Good closure to a book, good closure to a character is well needed. I think Ahsoka will deserve it by the end of this. If she has trained a few more Jedi to go out and do good in the world, she's helped. And speaking of real quick, we almost forgot Ezra's new lightsaber. Yeah. What an amazing callback. He uses Kanan Jarrus's emitter style. That's amazing.
I love that style anyway. So.
Yeah, it makes it a beautiful new blue lightsaber and lets Sabine keep the green one.
I hope that what they're going to do with... I hope she dies at the end, and I hope that she kind of reunites with... Because she's almost imbued right now with the daughter, what's remained of the daughter.
Yeah.
And I hope she becomes the new daughter in a way. And then we kind of get that resurgence of the Force again.
Well, and she'll definitely be a Force ghost. I'm sure Anakin will teach her how to live on.
But yeah, what I'm saying is that I want her to kind of ascend and combined with what remains of the daughter to reform the daughter.
Become even more, yeah.
Because the daughter right now is in tatters because what happened, and the daughter's kind of imbued her.
See, and that's actually, I like that because in a way, if Anakin,
that's why she keeps seeing the bird.
Right, but if Anakin's Padawan is the one who re-embodies the daughter and takes on that aspect to bring balance back to the family, then Anakin has also lived up to his title as the Chosen One, and again bringing balance back to the Force.
So we're gonna every story just somehow loosely connected to Anakin bringing
Yeah,
Pals back.
yeah. I did it. I cracked the code, everybody. I figured it out. Figured it out.
I think that would be. I think that's the best ending for her. Is to, like I
Yeah.
said, ascending not just a Force Ghost, but becoming the new daughter. I think that would be an awesome ending. Will we get that? I have no idea at this point because
Right.
um, predictions are weird.
Right.
Um, they definitely don't, and that's one good thing I like about we get Dave Filoni
Mm-hmm.
and Farvo when they're doing their writing is they're doing some unpredictable things, which is good. I like to see that.
Yeah, very much so. Well, but hey, guys, again, strike's over. We can just start openly, just talking about things more often now. The podcast might not be live as much as it used to be. Life, jobs, and fun things now are changing a little bit here and there. When we can do it live, we will. Other than that, we will begin to continue to record these, like this current one, drop it on Friday at the usual time, and I will be in the chats. Mike might be in the chat. Any one of us, both of us, more people will be in the chat still live to talk about all this fun stuff, as this was a stellar conversation with some really good ideas. And
Well, and then coming up, we're gonna have some talks with the Phase 3. So
yeah, yep, the Phase 3 is really starting to kick off in the comic world, and the book will be out on the 14th of November. I'm super excited. It's going to be really good. Star Wars is back, baby, and it's going to be big and powerful. Again, Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, new Young Jedi Adventures came out. Oh, there's just so much stuff. There's so much stuff. Thank you all so much for stopping by for us on this House of Holocrons. Make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what was your favorite moment in the Ahsoka series. What was your biggest worry that got settled? Just let us know. Start some conversations. Have an amazing rest of your evening. And as always, may the Force serve you well.
and may the Force be with you.